Forging a successful career path begins from your foundation, a foundation of quality and professional education. It is a weapon of transformation and a passport to the future. Kmer's credibility and years of training thousands of professionals in HND, BTech, BSc, and MBA in the schools of business and management sciences, engineering and education, with remarkable mentorship from the University of Bamenda for the BTech and MBA and the University of Boya for the BSc program, is second to none. From committed professors and lecturers in classrooms to numerous academic field trips, internships and workshops, Kmer will reform and guide you towards your success. Admissions are now open in our Boya and Douala campuses. Join us. Together, we will build a legacy.
Kmer is what it is today because of its excellent and competent teachers.
You choosing Kmer to be the perfect place to gain that professionalism that you need to further your educational career.
The Higher Institute of Business Management and Technology, the University Institute for Professionals.
We are very sorry for the late start of this edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We still, like promised yesterday, are going to be looking into the Mutengene land saga. Where does the truth actually reside? We're going to be discussing with those concerned with the land issue. We have received them twice here already. 2 weeks and 3 weeks ago they were here, and we promised to do one last edition to bring clarity as far as the land issue is concerned in Mutengene, in Buinga. Some people say it is Buinga 1, some people say it's Buinga 2, others say it is Isuke. Meanwhile, some persons say it is Bunganjo village. We are going to throw more light on it. The two factions concerned with the land issue are going to be telling us what is actually happening. Some persons are in the studio. Meanwhile, others are going to talk from Mutengene. We are going to give opportunity for everybody to hear and make their own observations and conclusions on what is actually happening out there. In the studio with us is Chief Williams Elive Ngange, the chief of Lower Wonganjo, that's Bonganjo village in Boya subdivision. We are glad to have you with us, Your Majesty.
Thank you very much.
How is the village doing?
No, village is moving fine.
Yeah.
My own village is moving very well.
Okay, they call it Wonganjo.
They
Bonganjo.
call it Lower Wonganjo village. Upper Wonganjo is in Bonakanda.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just to let our televiewers know that Wonganjo is Bonganjo. It's what it's called.
Wonganjo is Wonganjo, not Bonganjo.
Okay. Okay, we also are in the studio with Mr. Mende Mbola Peter. He is an indigene from Buinga 1 village in Mutengene, Mutengene Court area. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
How is the village?
Well, Mutengene, the village is there because we have a lot of problems in our village because of this. So many chiefs that have been, they install chiefs without having where to govern. So there's a problem in Mutengene.
Okay. Boys Ngongi Mbela and Diva is also here with us. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, I'm Mbela Elive, John. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for giving me this opportunity once more again to throw light on really this Mutengene land saga.
Okay. Also accompanying us is Tamai Chavis. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Leonard. Good evening, Cameroon. Good evening to the President of the Republic and, of course, the Prime Minister.
Okay, just to note that we are going to be listening in the course of the program from Mr. Lifafe, who has decided to contribute from Mutengene, and also the Paramount Chief of Mutengene. I don't know whether Mutengene has a paramount chief, but I hear there's a paramount chief there who is also going to be participating from Mutengene in the course of the program. We're going to listen to them, but we'll start with you. Mulambila, what is at stake as we speak? Things are seemingly not still okay with the land situation in Mutengene.
Yes, Mr. Leo, as a matter of fact, things are not really stable in as far as that land saga in Mutengene is concerned.
Yeah.
Because the whole of this thing started, from the administration. That's the DO for Tico, who had to put an injunction there on the 17th of February 2015. In fact, when we wrote the complaint about Mboa's encroachment and destruction on people's both food and cash crop, the DO decided to coin it in the sense that it was a dispute based on names.
Yeah, but did the problem not start from the commencement of the village?
No.
Is that not where the problem?
No, not at all. Not at all, because all of this started in 2015. We've been there for years. We inherited lands from some of our parents and grandparents. Such a problem never occurred. Not until 2015. In fact, I am a signatory. I wrote the complaint. Yes, to the DO. And at the end, the DO put, after inviting us for a meeting, he put an administrative injunction. And the injunction was, well articulated. When Mr. Mboa came, he did not bring a document, but he said that land was Wonganjo village. So he started talking of estates. We owned about 9,000 hectares. We were doubting whether he was talking about an estate or a village. So, in fact, the irony in the whole thing there is that in 2017 and 2015, when this injunction was placed on this land, in 2017, the DO published names, applications for land certificates, procession, that's for people to process land certificates in 2017. And can you imagine that in that publication, all of those names which were published, they were all carrying Bonganjo village. Whereas Article 2 of that same injunction said, this injunction should not be violated until the final determination of the matter. That means whether the place is called Bonganjo Esukaobenga. But in 2017, the DO published names for land certificates putting Bonganjo, meaning that he himself violated the administrative injunction.
Okay, but we are also in the company of Mola Mende Mbula Peter from Bwinga 1. You are a native of Bwinga 1 village. Where is Bwinga 1 and where is Bonganjo?
Well, the Bwinga 1 is when you are going down to Limbe.
Yes.
Immediately you cross there's a small river they call Esuke River. You climb a small hill. There's a camp they call Esuke Camp. Behind. Therefore, the village has their own, they have a boundary between the CDC palms and the native. That river, the Esuke River, is the boundary between Bwinga 1 and Bwinga 2, right down. So Bwinga 1 has the new that Esuke camp is under Bwinga 1. The Ombe new layout, they call it Bwinga Esuke Ombe. There's the new layout. It's Bwinga 1. There's another one they call Bamukong, which is quarter 21, still under Mutengene.
Mutengene, yeah.
Yes, right down. That is where the Wonjia, which is Bwinga 1, is situated. And around that area, there are so many families owning parcels of land inside that particular area. I myself talking, we inherited that parcel of land from our mother. Our mother inherited it from his own father. So I did not see my grandfather So I saw my mother. My mother died at the age of 84. I am 63 years old. So you can imagine 84 and 63, that's 147 years that we have been using that particular parcel of land, our own area. Between that place is a family land. I have one of my uncle who has a parcel of land. It was called, it's of blessed memory, Panako. One of the son is alive and the daughter is alive. The other family side, Daniel Esongami, is also of blessed memory. He has 2 children. They are still alive.
Yeah, what is Bonganjo?
Bonganjo has never existed in that particular area.
But at least you know that a village existed like that, because I received persons from Bonganjo last time in this studio, and they produced a document of, I'm sure, yes, a document that shows that this village has existed in the early 1900s.
Okay, if the village was existing in that 1900, not that particular place.
Okay,
they may be talking somewhere else, not there. Because since I was a child until that number of years, that place has never been called Bonganjo.
That place has not been called Bonganjo. Now, where there is dispute, where it is claimed to be Bonganjo, you are saying that it's Bringawan. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Okay, but there is a Bonganjo. There is a traditional ruler amongst us, Your Highness Chief Williams Elive Ngange. You are the chief of Lower Wonganjo in Boya subdivision, and you said there is an upper Wonganjo in Boya, still in Boya subdivision. Yes. How do you understand what is happening?
Mr. Moderator, briefly, I will bring you right to the point.
Okay.
At my age, I am 62 4 months.
Okay.
I've been in this throne for 22 years.
Okay.
We have Lower Wonganjo, I come from, Upper Wonganjo, who is the son from my village in Bonakanda. The Bonganjo done Mutengene, I'll briefly. There is no Bonganjo. My 2 families left in the 18th during the Telambata. From Wonganjo village, they passed through the forest to Benga. They came here.
Okay, the Bingawanda is talking about.
Bengawan.
Okay.
They came here as a family, not as a village. 2 families with 2 men. Njia, Nganjanjia, from that my village, becoming and Urule. They came down here. One never married. The other one married and had 2 children, Ngunganjia and Ikomajutu. They settled here from the 18th right up to when the traditional, the tribal war broke. They ran and came to Wonganjo. There has been no village like Wonganjo or Bonganjo in Bengawan or Mutengene. The present chief, we call himself, is called Mboitaki. He's a man from the Kombe. I know his father's grave and his house. The Sinambora is the chief of Ukuka. The Sinambora is the chief of Ukuka village.
Chief Njumbi?
No, Okoka.
Okoka, okay, not Okaka. Okay.
Okoka village is behind Ututu.
Okay.
Chingale. This young man, boy, that came met me on the 14th of April 2004 in my palace. By now I've been chief for about 6 or 7 years, or 8 years. He said, let's go and take land in Benga. I said, which land? Maybe 40. I said, no, I cannot go and grab land a village that I don't know, because this is my village. You come from the Kmer, I know it very well. He said, Molago. 5 years later, he made his plan to be chief of Okoka. Okoka village, Okoka. No Okaka.
Yes, yes. After Wotutu, who met the brother?
This Ngwali Take.
He made the brother the
Yes,
chief?
Zantua was the SDO. He mingled, I don't know how he did. They installed his children brother as the chief of Uga in empty land. He has built a palace there that he doesn't stay. He lives in my farm. He met me several times and I said, no. The chief of Mutengene, who does not have a ministerial order. Twist, I don't know how he managed and convinced the administration. They enthroned him in his house. Before then, he had never had a ministerial order till it. I called Nika, small man come. This thing you are doing like this will take us to nowhere. The matter went to the DO. I went to the DO and told the DO of Tiko that Benga don't have any Wonganjo. It means Wonganjo. That's the court. I defend in the court. These people won the case in court. That man showed where they burned his house. Today he has come to destroy people's crops and property. The administration, I was in the SDO's office. The SDO never picked my hand. I want to say something as I'm saying here today. I believe that villages are not created under villages. Villages are revamped through existence. You cannot come to another village and create a village because of this land or money. No. That's what the is doing. He is a man from the Kmer. He should go to the Kmer and fight for the Kmer chiefdom.
Okay.
Even if his mother came from, I don't even know that the mother came from those my families that came from Uganda. No, not be that.
Okay. Yes.
It's a land grabber, just like the brother have grabbed land in Okuka.
Now, when you look at what is happening, do you see in it a drive to want to restore a village, like many villages that went extinct, like we were told a year old? It is driven by the need to grab land and sell.
The answer is clear. It is to grab land and sell. Because as His Majesty put it, if you look at what gives a village, what gives a village, it starts by the ancestral lineage of that particular area. There must be first an existent, which is backed by a lineage. Now we understand that if you look at the period of 1800 or during the pre-colonial period of Cameroon, there was that mass movement from one area to another due to the colonial period when we had the German Cameroon. I remember that there was equally a war between the Bakwe resistance with Kuva Lekinye, and that Chabla war caused a lot of migration where people moved from where these wars were actually fought to where these wars were not fought, and those who could not brave the odds. So families had to relocate, but relocating in an area doesn't give you the lineage ownership of that area that you are, because there were people who had lands in that area who had it as a village. And now when we look at the period when the Bakwe resistance ended, people moved back and some had already settled and formed their family and mingled with others around that area. So if you want to call that site not a village, it doesn't make sense. It just gives us a connotation that you looking for land to sell. How do you explain that you have a blood brother of a different chief in a different village, and you a senior brother of a chief in a different village, then you yourself, you are claiming a chief in a different village? Now, if you put these mathematics together, there is something missing here. Either you people are not of one womb, you are like separate cousins and you call yourself brothers. And if we had to go by the legal biological norms, it therefore means that you are not a chief in this area, or both of you are illegitimate. That is a story for another day. My problem now comes with the administrators. I have a very big problem with administrators. I think, and equally the elite in this area, because if we are talking about the land surrender should be given to communities who own this land, not to people who imposes themselves on land. We've had this situation in Leula Malale some time ago in where you are going to Ekona, and we keep having these issues, and the administrative authorities keep playing the same role over and over again. I'm happy you have listened to the notable, you have listened to his
let me cut it talk. Let me cut it short. In 2016, February 11, the Minister of State Property and Land Tenure and Surveys signed a communique to all the SDO of Southwest, particularly Fako, instructing them by saying that any village that citizen never took land from them should not be given land surrender. Today is in the village, even from the Fako Mountain, have land surrender. Back to you.
Okay, no, not back to not back to him. I want us to listen to the traditional ruler of Chief Ngeka of Mutengene to tell us what is actually happening there, and I'm sure we could. Yeah, let's have a listen to Chief Ngeka.
I've been watching over the Prime Media platform how some unscrupulous members of our community have gone on air and tried to bring disorder in our community. Let me just give you a brief history about Mutengene. Mutengene is a court area that comprises 5 villages. That's Benga 1, Benga 2, Bokwai, Fwe, and Obanyo. It's not us that created these villages, but when the Europeans came through the scramble of Africa, they made those villages where they are today. Some of those villages become extinct, meaning that some of those villagers that occupied those villages went to the urban areas. So now these people have decided to come back to the areas where they can commune with the ancestors. So we have reorganized all those 5 villages and have their chiefs. So if anybody have a problem, should meet the chiefs so that they can handle the situation. Every chief has been put in place and the branches will be given to them so that they have their jurisdiction. So I don't know all those people who are going over the air and making silly statements. I don't know where some of them came from where. And since the crisis started, we of the Mutengene court area, we have a very peaceful situation here. They have tried all in their power to try to bring this court here. But at least the people of Mutengene have observed them quietly, and this is our time for us to react. I want to make you understand those people don't belong to our court area. The people from outside are trying to use the situation, because for the past 10 years, we hadn't a chief in Mutengene. The paramount chief where I am today, and the administrator for the past time have tried to consult the powers that the ancestors and the kingmakers they have put in place the chief, the paramount chief of Mutengene. Since then, these same troubleshooters have been going around trying to spread hate speech. But all along we have tried to put our best to see that the Mutengene court area has been organized, and today we have all the various chiefdoms in place. What is peaceful and cordial relationship to see the chief able to read this morning to report that people are coming. So I have to take the time to see that answer my call. So we have a very peaceful relationship. We have our meetings in the court area every Saturday to see how we can discuss developmental issues in our court area.
Boundary issues, have you, between the various villages of the Mutengene court area, have you people resolved it?
Yeah, let me just give you a brief history again. You know, this area was called Benga Court area. We had about 8 villages that constituted the Benga Court area. When the administrative unit were carved out in 1971, when Tiko subdivision was carved out in 1971, some of those villages went to Limbe and other to Tiko. So we are left with these 5 villages that I have named. So we have had they know their boundaries, we know our boundaries. So, and we are trying to see, although we cannot ascertain 100%, but we know where those villages were. Yes, we know where those villages were, and we are on the road to see that all the boundary limits are being put in place, and every chief takes control over his population.
Thank you.
Okay, that was Chief Ngeka Aaron, the paramount chief of Mutengene. Seemingly everything is okay in Mutengene except for troubleshooters. I don't know, Mola Mende and Bola Peter, why are you bringing problems into Mutengene? The chief says that everything is in order. Who is the troubleshooter here? It's you, Mola?
Well, maybe, you see, Mr. Leo,
yes.
When Chief Aaron says they are trying to demarcate their boundaries, Mutengene, all along, in 1971, which he is talking about, we have documents when Philip Ellard, the DO, the then DO of Tiko, the first DO of Tiko subdivision, I have documents where all of these places where, I mean, they had the family heads not chiefs. If you ask him who was the chief of Bonganjo, till date he will never tell you. If you ask him who was the chief of that Bonganjo which we are talking about, and how can you put a chief before a village?
Well, let me help something.
Excuse me, Chief. Let me come. Let me clear up something. How do you go further to put a chief before creating his village? Let him tell us the first or the last chief who came from Bonganjo. Let him tell us. I don't know of any chief. I have all the archives of Mutengene. I will tell you.
Are you saying that Chief Litake Mboa does not have a right to the throne of Bonganjo?
In Mutengene?
No, he has no right at all. I want to tell you what the chief said. I myself, personally, I was not coming to challenge even his chieftaincy. What has created this problem is the administration, whom around 17th of February to put an injunction in 2015. In 2017, they published land certificates. In 2018, let me come, sir. In 2018, they published another names for land certificates. Not so. You are publishing names for land certificate for Bonganjo. You have not yet known the demarcation. I want to tell you the administrator that you said publicly, openly, in this last consultative talks of Bengawan, I am consulting you people, but you don't yet have villages. Quote me anyway, I'll tell you. So if he is saying now that they know their boundaries, I want to tell you they don't know their boundaries. I have the German map of 1911. They don't know their boundaries. You will see what Bonganjo, it was, people came and pitched. They had their tents just around there. It was not a village.
Okay, yes, Your Highness.
Yeah, I want to correct the so-called paramount chief of Mutengene.
Okay.
I want to correct him. Where come from a subdivision? The girl is on a young man 2 weeks ago. So if he says he has boundary with Way, can you point Way here? You cannot. Way come from where subdivision boundary with me. Point 2, as he has put himself the paramount chief of Mutengene, it is 0,000, because we as I'm a very old Faku. Everybody knows me. We have not eaten his pig. Before we could eat your pig, it means that as a class chief, the minister must have signed his ministerial order saying to the SDO. The SDO will copy all the neighboring chiefdoms. Me, I'm bounded up here by Antoinette School with Benga Mutengene. I've not got that. I don't dispute that he's not a chief, but he should not call himself paramount chief of Mutengene. Mboa Litake stood in court and said his boundary is runabout Mutengene,
right to the sea,
to Ome River, to the sea. Meaning that even Chief Nango of Tiko is under him. How can he call himself the paramount chief? While Litake is the most paramount. So, I want to clearly say this in the air, that Mboa Litake should go back to his village called the Kombe, where his father came from. If you want to fight Chief Luma, who's the chief of the Kombe, you should go and fight him. Not to create a village that never existed. I've said here that when the people came from my village, 2 families, I've given the names. They came and settled as villagers, not as a village. They made their Benga people because of this trade by barter in the 18th. Me, I carry Rekoko when Antenjanga to go and give my mother in that thick forest. 1969. Today I'm 62 years and some few months. He cannot tell me he's still than me again. He can't. That like who is a who cannot talk. I told him that the day they installed his border of Okoka, he came, he brought up 4 shrines instead of 2 shrines. I said, this is a magic. You will take 1 head shrine and go. Never took it.
That is not part of our discussion, eh? But this has been happening. We hear very little from the indigenes of Benga 1. if you claim that that is your land, why are you people silent? How do you sit and then you claim that somebody is a stranger and is taking over the village and you guys are watching? How does it happen?
The thing is that since the chieftaincy saga in Mutengene, there's a lot of confusion.
Okay.
So according to the deal, they started with the chief of Bukwai. Later on, they said it was Gbenga 2. Before Gbenga 2, this the man of Bonganjo, the man who called himself the Bonganjo chief, they made his own consultative talks in the house of Mr. Aaron, the paramount, called himself the paramount chief. Is there where they even made the consultative talks? Not in that area. So now, recently, they made the chief of the Gbenga 1. Not too long. And the Gbenga 1 chief, that particular area that the Litake has built a lot of houses, is claiming, just close to his palace, was owned by the present chief father. But they sold everything. Presently, they don't have any parcel of land in that area. So they had no interest. They had no interest.
But where are the indigents of Gbenga 1?
They are in Mutengene.
Who is the chief?
Yes, one of them is the new chief.
Yeah, the new chief. But why is he not also coming out to challenge the chief Mbalitake to say that this is not their land, this land belongs to us?
What I'm telling you is that he have sold all of their own land. So he has no land there. He may not be having any interest.
Who? The chief?
The chief.
Yeah, but it's funny. Even if the land has been sold, but if the village belongs to him, he stays the chief. Huh?
Yes, but because of this saga, I'm telling you about the confusion. There's a lot of confusion inside Mutengene now.
Yes, because it's confusing. How are you a chief of a village just because you don't have a piece of land in that village? It means that they sold their own land.
They sold their land. Mr. Leo, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Just this few days ago, he has started trying to call on the people back to, because of this chieftaincy power, there's a lot of division. There's so many camps. So he has decided that since he has been made a chief now, he will call back those senior people. So that is on the pipeline. Because somebody came and told me that very soon he will call for a meeting, that he should call the Gbenga people so that they should be able to fight the Itake.
Okay, to fight for their land.
For their own land.
You look at the conspiracy in terms of coronation of chiefs, especially in Fako. I would tell you it's a highly political process, especially these new chiefs now. For the old chiefs, they followed the customs and traditions, and they were duly chiefs. And you could see the chiefs, you could see their heritage, you could see their family, their various family homes and generations. But if you look at the new generations now, sometimes it's difficult to get the chief. But again, I want to go to this case very well that we're talking about. If you look at what His Majesty pointed out about Bonganjo, I pointed out that last time that the people from Bonganjo came from Boya, and the paramount chief, as he called himself, I don't know, His Majesty has said he's not a paramount chief, and he said there are 5 villages. I want to believe that he's more intelligent than Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration.
Because second and third family before he became elected chief.
I want to believe that he's more intelligent than the Minister of Territorial Administration to say that these people who are claiming that Bonganjo is not in Mutengene, they are not intelligent, because how will you explain that at the official gazette that same village is not located in Mutengene. Official gazette simply means that this is a document by the state, and the state must have done.
But last time I received them here, they proved beyond reasonable doubt that the Bonganjo in Tiko is found in
it's not in the official gazette. The official gazette, which I don't have it here.
I would have loved to
the official
to take
gazette
the document they
of
presented
yes,
here so that I can challenge what
yes,
they're
the
saying.
official gazette from the Ministry of Territorial Administration simply put Bongajo in Boya, not Mutengene. It does not refuse the fact that there is no Bongajo. It accepts the fact that there is Bongajo, but it states that it is not in Mutengene, Erotiko subdivision. It is in Boya. So if they are saying, and secondly, I watched the program, they said the village existed in 1900. I want to go by 1900. Now, if we look at the 1900, who was the first chief? Because we had chief lineage. Who was the first chief, second chief, third chief, until when the village had a problem, when people must have moved from an area of cluster. So if you can be able to trace the first, second, third chief, then we can tell you that this village actually existed. Fourthly, they kept talking about estate. This is what we get. Now the DO and the SDO...
Maybe when they talked of estate, it was maybe slip of tongue. At times when you talk before the cameras,
it cannot be a slip of tongue.
Yeah. I told you that this man, boy, they came name me in my palace in 4 occasions. In 4 occasions. If he knew that when there was an existing in Mutengene, he wouldn't have met me. He told me, let us go there and take that. I said, no. I can't not dirty myself to go in another man's village and go and take land. What do you want to go and do with that land? The next month, he saw his brother as the chief of Oka village. He followed his documents, he took some money from somebody in on the 60 million. He told me, I said, I will not chop 1 franc with that money. I'm a kind of chief. I have been in this matter for more than 6 years with someone else. In the DO and in court. Bonganjo, even in the Facom map, Bonganjo have not been existed in Mutengene. It is me, Loa Bonganjo, that come from me. Those people who ran I went to Bonakanda. This one is just a formulated village. I stand on my words.
To take land, the best.
I have written a letter to the Prime Minister. I'm not going to reply. I hope he has not reached him. I will take the letter directly to him to tell him that all this nonsense, he's a chief, this nonsense must stop in the court division. You create village in another man's village. Ngeka was present when Itake was saying his boundary is run about and Ombe right to the sea. He's still quiet. Today he says he's the paramount chief, meaning that Itake is under him. It's not nonsense.
Okay, we are going to take another listen to a member of Bonganjo or village who says that he was misled, Mr. Lifafe. He says he was misled by you and Mr. Collins, and that he regained his consciousness and went to ask for pardon from the chief. Let's take a listen.
My name is Joseph Lifafe. I live in Boya. My late father's name is Robert Mukanjo, who died at 1986. Before my father died, late Chief James Nduba Kombe handed most of his estate to my late father. So my late father was a caretaker of that estate. So before my late father died, he took me and my senior brother and brought us here, where we are standing here, and showed us that this land, all like this that we are standing, is Bonganjo. He's a late chief, James Zumbakombe, who handed this land to him. So when my late father died now, Mr. Mbela, John Elive, Collins Eke Malikembi, Madame Anguiza Judith, and so many others, they came and met me in my house in Boya. And they told me that they want us to change the name of this place from Isuke to Bonganjo. So since from Bonganjo to Isuke, that since Chief Itake Mwangambwa is not around, is in Gabon, that we should use this opportunity to sell the land. So they mislead me, they use me. I was standing in front of them. Everywhere that we were going, I was the one standing in front, it's not even Mr. Mbela. So we started selling the land, coming here at night, selling land to people putting people here and backdating document, forging document, putting a suke, and so many people were occupied, they were using the land. So before then, when the chief came at 2013, Chief Litake came to Cameroon. He established the first palace just in front there. And they still used me to take some boys, and we came and burned the whole palace down. So when it happened like that, they told me that we have to fight Chief Litake Mwangabwa to remove it out of this land so that we will have an opportunity to be selling. So we continue. From there, they told me to sue Chief Litake to court. I sued Chief Litake to court. And when the matter went to court, Chief Litake Mwangambwa won the matter in court. And they told me to take an appeal on the matter. So I took an appeal. Then again, they called me, they said that since they are trying all means that we can make Chief Litake Mwangambwa to run out of this area, that we should look for some people. Well, maybe the farmers should contribute money. All the farmers who have land here, who bought land, they should contribute money so that we can go to Douala. We can look for somebody who can come, just to the environment and to shoot the chief. So from there, I was afraid. So they said that I should go to Bamenda. We should go anywhere elsewhere that we can kill the chief. So they sent me to Bamenda. I went to Bamenda. I was there about 1 week. So we went to the person there who was a traditional doctor who was working there. And the traditional doctor said that the chief is the son of the soil of that area. He cannot do anything that can affect the chief. That I should go back. I came back and they sent me to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria. So when I was in Nigeria, 2 weeks again in Nigeria, I went to another traditional doctor. And the traditional doctor told me that this man is very difficult. This man is a son of the soil. He cannot harm somebody who is innocent. If he can do anything, he cannot work. So when I came back, I realized that most of the tenants who were misleading me, Mr. Ikemakolis, Mr. Mbila, they were saying that we should look for another means that we can come with people to come and destroy the palace. I came here with about 500 people. 500 boys, there were here so many boys to come and when they were building this palace. I came here myself. I came here and people started breaking all those pillars there. Yes, all the walls. And from there, Chief sent the matter to court. So from there now, Mr. Mbela also told me that we should go to Fakwa Probate Registry. They want the letter of administration of the late chief so that I can manipulate, we can change the inventory and put an inventory that does not have any landed property. So we went there, I was outside and Teke Joseph, Mr. Mbela went inside and removed the file because there was one lady who was working inside there, but the lady went out and there was a chair there. So when the lady went out, we just went inside and looked and removed the file and the file came out. So we went and manipulated the inventory and removed the inventory that does not have landed property and put one that there's no land inside. So when it happened like that, they called me, they said that, okay, since this thing is like this, we have to write to the Prime Minister. I have to write. They called me, all those farmers, I put down their name, I wrote Mr. Mbela, all of the farmers signed. We wrote to the Prime Minister. We wrote a petition, they said I should write a petition against the chief. I wrote a petition against the chief to the Prime Minister. They said Minister of Territorial Administration. I wrote again another petition. They said Minister of Justice. I wrote another petition. So from there they said I should write another petition to the DO. I wrote another petition. From there they said I should write another petition to the SO. I wrote another petition. So from there, when I came back and I saw that this thing that I have done is too much, because there was a matter that I have with chief that I forged so many documents, my thumbprint, So when the matter went to court, that is when I started saying that if this matter goes to court, I will go to prison. Before I came now, I come and apologize to the chief. That chief, I know that I have wronged you because since we were coming here, I was selling land here. when I met a chief, I told the chief that I'm sorry for what I've done. I know that I've sold this land that I sold is not my father's land. It is your great-grandfather's property. So the chief advised me that I should look for the people who have bought land there, that I have placed them, so that the people should come. Then here we recognize the people in the village. We give them attestation. They can carry on their development. But Mr. Mbela is going behind, misleading the people that was how we were doing, holding meetings, calling the farmers. People will come and contribute 10,000, that we are going to appeal court, we are going to write a petition here, people are giving money, and Mr. Mbela will eat the money. So when I come and discover that since for how many years I've been with Mr. Mbela and Mr. Ekemakolis, they are only misleading me. I've not seen anything. So before I came to the chief, I apologized. Before the chief said, okay, if that's the case, bring most of those people who have bought land there. So I went and called some of my tenants, they came here, and the chief is giving the attestation, and they are using their land.
Okay, that was Mr. Lifafede writing from, talking from Mutengene, giving the side of the story. Like I said, we are objective. We have no side to take in whatever matter we are discussing on My Media Prime. Whoever out there has an issue and think that we should bring clarity, because the effort is for peace to reign. They say the people perish because we lack knowledge. Once there is truth and people know what to do. But when we listen to Mr. Lifafede there, he says that the chief went back to the chief, and the chief is open to receiving people. He gives a different impression of the picture that is painted about the chief. He says, the chief says, whoever has an issue with land, the person should come and see him, and is open to discuss with them.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I want to say that no true Christian will stay quiet to listen to a devil quoting the Bible. That is certain. When Mr. Lifafe is talking what he's talking, the point there is that let it not be that it's been manipulated by some other people.
Okay.
Yeah, because at the end of it, I'm still talking about the administrative injunction, which was reinforced in 2017, 2019, and in 2020. Meanwhile, in 2019, Mr. Litake was given a prefectorial order as a chief. And the administrative injunction is still there, in force. So if he's talking about what he's talking about, so the DO and the SDO, they were putting this administrative injunction because they wanted to take people's land and destroy. We have documents where they have been selling the Take are sold. And as I'm telling you today, that administrative injunction is still there. And they are there destroying people's food, building houses on people's land. So what they are talking, what he's talking there, I mean, it is irrelevant. What he's talking there is just, he has just been brought up to come and make noise on TV. As a matter of fact, that administrative injunction is still in force.
Okay, yes. I want us to make some clarifications here. I have a document here, Southwest Provincial Archives in Buea, sure dated 1914. The provincial, Southwest Provincial Archives, Buea, 1914 or 1938 here. I'm sure it has to do with the chiefdoms. See, list of, it's not too clear. Minutes or instructions, maybe you read it to me. I have a problem, but I see in them, the list I find, one of the listed villages is Bonganjo. That is, yes, Bonganjo is amongst them. This is a document that carries 1938.
Let me talk something about it.
Yes, yeah, I don't know.
Let me talk something about the archives. Archives are printed. Archives. If you go and meet an officer in the archive, say, Bodu means they will do you and backdate. There is no Bonganjo in Fako division. It is lower Bonganjo, Oba Bonganjo in Fako division.
Which one? The Gazette came out in 2015.
I have the stone map of 1902 with me in the palace. Even the Parliament of Mutengene called himself, he doesn't know how the name of Mutengene came. He does not even know. We can tell him as a senior brothers.
Okay.
You can. It's not like you want to photocopy something. You can scan and change. That's it happens in ECAS.
Okay, Mr. Leo.
Is it in Tico subdivision or subdivision?
The problem is not that where other Bonganjo existed or Bonganjo did not exist to me.
Okay.
Is the location?
Yes.
Is the location?
Okay. Okay. It might have existed, but where it is now
it's not.
Is Bringa? You say it's Bringa one?
Yes. This is a land certificate I have here.
Okay.
I have a parcel of land there. The quarter 20. The quarter 20 is on about 70% of quarter 20 is inside our own land. That is the land certificate.
Provincial Service of Lands, yes.
Look at the name there. Inside there, where they write, look at the name. Rather name, and that document was made 1997.
2 hectares, 70 Esuke Umbe village.
1997 by my mother.
Esuke Umbe village.
Umbe.
And that's the place.
Yeah, but maybe it's because like they say, it's certain Mama Lydia who died. Is it not because the people left, maybe fleeing a conflict that maybe you came in and
Mama Lydia died?
No, let me tell you, Mr. Leo.
Yes.
My mother did not. The problem, he did not have any problem with that particular particular family that he is claiming that place. He did not have any problem with that because my mother died 2009. My mother died 2009. There has been no problem with that particular family.
It's Esuke village.
Esuke is a stream.
The name Esuke is a stream. But they named that camp. CDC named that camp because of that river. So the village is Benga. This Benga inside, you know.
Just to, I have a document here that the young man who granted an interview claimed that he was manipulated to change the name. But there is a document signed by his mother under his when they sold a piece of land, and it reads, I, Madame Christina Ndombe Lifambe, have today, 15th of May 2004, sold my farmland to Mr. Robert Mokanjo of my 4 Dibanda at the sum of that, which is at Esoke. Now, it is at, if you look at Esoke, you ask yourself based on manipulate, was the mother manipulated to write Esoke?
Yes.
Because this is an authentic document. It's not a document that you can say that no, it's signed with fingerprint. So you want to say that, so I want to believe that administrative authorities have problems here. And the head of state, President Biya, and the Prime Minister, who is a chief, they are struggling to ensure that peace reign in Fako division. But we still have administrative authorities who feel like because the land issue of Fako is so wide, they can grab and grab and grab, and because the elites too are keeping quiet, they can just grab and grab and grab. Mutengene have elites. If we, with the days of Honorable Fcfa, if he was still honorable, I believe that something would have been done so far, because at that position you will see him coming up and stating, though he is not honorable, I believe that he may be still acting at the behest and ensuring that as an elite of the era to ensure that this land are not grabbed. But the problem now comes with the deal. An injunction was given to that place in 2016. Now, before that injunction, there are documents that have come from that office in Dio's office, carrying the name Esoke. Bringa. Yes. Now you see that name was not was the Dio now manipulated to get that name, and now a part of that injunction simply is still functioning. Yes. But yet people are going about construction in that land. Does that injunction, above all, a consultative talk is carried in an injunction land? This therefore prime give us the position to understand and that the DO and the SDO need to go in for this.
And the prefectorial order making him a
prefectorial order making him
in 2019.
So you ask yourself, consultative talk is ongoing in 2020. Prefectorial order signs 2019.
Yes.
And in an in a land house injunction.
Yes.
Where are we going to in Cameroon? The DO and the SDO, the government is watching, and I want to let them understand that there will come a time that they will be sued by their names and not by the function they occupy, because you cannot go into a community, struggle to divide this community. As His Majesty put it, he is a living witness. He's someone who is talking with authority, and he can be quoted, and his life, thank God he's alive. He stated that the same so-called chief came to his office, came to his palace, and asked him that they should go to this area. It's evidential. And there's something I told you too about migration. If you look at that period, even when the British took over, we had people who moved and never came. Like the case in Lower and Upper Moya, where people leave their area and moved to the road when the road was constructed, and they went there and settled because the road was constructed. Though you will not claim that because you have settled in that area, and he kept on calling it estate.
Southwest, the Southwest Provincial Archives of 1938. I want to look at something here. I have here Mutengene court area. I don't know whether this is yes, this Iwinga Mikuke. Okay.
That's the family.
Okay, we have Winga Wunja.
That's Benga 2.
Okay.
This Benga 1. Wunja is Benga 1.
Mevio Mekulu.
Mevio Mekulu is across the road.
Okay. Then we have Mevio Me
Mbenge.
Kombe something. I don't know. The writings are not too. There we have Wokwe Likumba.
Okwae
Likumba. You have Wonganjo Mutengene. We have Wulu Likumba. And we have, I don't know whether it's Fwe Mutengene, something like that. Or Okwe Mutengene.
Fwe?
Okay, Fwe Mutengene. So are these villages, or are these families?
Which year is that?
No, it is contained in the 1938 archives.
And I've told you something, that archives are being typed. You agree or disagree?
But the document looks really old, eh?
No. Wonderful.
That's why I say there is a document signed by the first DO of Tico, Philip Ellard, in 1971. Pointing out all this, even the late James Nduma Kome, who died on the 5th of August 1982, was a family head for Unganjo. People pitched their tents down in Mutengene.
They came from my village.
They pitched their tents down there in Mutengene. He was not a chief. And that's why I'm saying, who was the first and the last chief of this
so the mother who sold that land did not know about the official gazette, about this same document which they are presenting now. Yes, about this one that they are presenting.
Let me take some televiewers who are watching. This is shame. Mr. Lifafe, whom we bought land from, have now gone to support the so-called Chief Moa because he was no longer able to carry on with the dubious cases this fake chief could make against him. Okay, the same Mr. Lifafe Joseph is a victim of circumstances. He was hungry and unable to fend for himself and his family. That is why he could be manipulated with money to say such lies. Oh, Cameroon, let the law take action. Cameroon is a state of law. Okay, I don't know who is writing. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Mr. Kum, I'm really proud of you as long as you wish this land wahala to end. If all our problems are handled as such, Cameroon will be a better place. Further, my chief on the studio should talk calmly. He's a chief. Okay, wise man, a Camben Tui from CV, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you. Dear Leonard, you ask a very pertinent question, which one of your panelists did not quite articulate a response to. The reason why the so-called paramount chief of Mutengene is not challenging and will not challenge the fake so-called Wonganjo chief in Mutengene is because both of them are the fabrications of the same corrupt Fako administration. Both of them were created to acquire land as chiefs, which land they in turn gave to or sell for the benefit of the same administrators. Leonard, I recognize a young man who is giving a false testimony. He had sued the Litake fellow whom he claimed had illegally entered his property. A few years ago, he collected 100,000 francs from me under the pretense of selling me a piece of land in Mutengene. He ran away with my money and he has never refunded it. He resurfaced a few years later, came to my home with his wife and 2 children to beg for money. He could not afford to pay for his court cases against Litake. I refused, but I offered him work on my farm. He left and never came back to work. He is an unscrupulous, hungry, and corrupt young man who has associated himself with the chief, Litake. Okay, most of the land's problems in Fako are created by the administrators. They use and misuse so-called chiefs whom they fabricate to their own advantage. This is Barrister Ngongi Ikomi, who is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Barrister. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I am Mr. Atemken George from Mutengene. That young man, Joseph, is the man who sold me 2 parcels of land, even a 3rd piece of land which was allocated to me, which I gave him 110,000 francs, which I don't yet have a receipt. My land is directly beside the house of the called Chief Mboa. Ask Joseph whether he doesn't know me as a tenant in that land. The young man is a liar. Each time he went to court, he was the one who had documents concerning that land. My land is next time Belawu is there. I was in the studio. I'm Mr. George Atemken. Good evening to you, Atemken George. Hello, bro. I'm very happy for this program. I pray you put maybe twice a week this program that talks on land and chieftaincy matters in Fako. They are very numerous. Which can we start talking of Modika chieftaincy matter, Bongala chieftaincy matter, wrong chief in Mutengene, wrong chief in the Koki, wrong chief in Miselele, wrong chief in Mate. Is too much. Let me start with the deal of Tiko, a young man but very old in corruption. Most of the administrators came to create problems than solve them. Thanks. Good evening. Good evening to you too. This one says Lifafe is a living prisoner. Good evening. Is Helmetin from Mutengene. Mboa did not come as a chief. He came as a land grabber. If Chief Aaron is claiming that there is peace in Mutengene, is not saying the truth, because he was in Limbe when the SDO called us. Okay. Which one do I read and not? So why only children? Okay. This one I won't read it. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the entire crew of my Media Prime. I'm really enjoying the program. You show more writing from Douala, land problem amidst the crisis. Okay, I don't know who to ask. I'll ask you. I'll start with you again, Your Majesty. Why is this problem persisting in Fako, in Tiko subdivision, and you people are not coming into solve it, though the paramount chief of Mutengene says things are under control?
Mr. Liu, the chieftaincy issue in Fako, it is in the hands of administration. Okay,
you are helpless.
Yeah, because I took my chieftaincy. I mean, I inherited it. I never bought it with money. 95% of chiefs in Fako, they bought it with money through administration. That is the open story, which is the truth. So few of us who are from the royal house, what can we say? 95, they go to their own, they go up and down to buy. We cannot, but a chief cannot come and meet the Tiko administration to say, correct this. The Tiko administration should correct his administration duty himself. That was the boya. Me sometimes, I don't go to those offices because I've been the chief, want to go there. I just go and say, oh, Mr. Dio, good evening, good afternoon. Or I have a complaint. If you can't receive, I don't receive. My problem is the chiefs that are not from the royal house, they get a lot of trouble. Lembo don't come from any chiefdom. Look at what he's doing. He's a land grabber. I repeat saying this. Even he knows that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he will accept what
he cannot accept. If there's nobody the chief of Okokan, then the nobody he the chief of the Lower Bonganjo.
Mr. Leo, just to
is a problem Wunganju, the problem Bonganju, is it the problem? Because I have here many documents that I'm receiving from
fake.
They are very old documents. There are
fake.
people who are watching who are sending documents. Which shows, let me take for example, say name of village, name of natives, and the number of natives and number of
strangers. Who was the chief of that village first?
Let's say Wunganju, Mutengene.
Who was the chief of that
3 natives and strangers, 12 strangers.
Who was the chief of
I think I want to react to that, especially as someone who is familiar with documents and seeing how things are done from this digital age. I believe that documents can be forged from the beginning to the end. And I want to challenge the same people who feel like they have those authentic documents to bring us the official gazette at the Ministry of Territorial Administration, the one from the office now of Minister Paul Atanganji. Remember that Minister Paul Atanganji sent a letter to the SDO
suspending all chief
activities. Now there was a letter that was sent again to the SDO telling the SDO of Fako to look into the issue of that land that we are talking about. And the SDO said he would take 7 days, created a commission and empowered that commission to look into that matter for 7 days. And that 7 days since that matter was sent to the SDO till now, we are still waiting for the commission feedback. The commission has entered Sisongo simply because the SDO and the DO are now the same chief that is there now. They have their mafia they are playing, but I want them to understand that the people will is greater than the will of the pockets of few individuals.
Just to add a bit, sir, if the DO in 2015 knew that that village existed there and it was called Bonganjo, how come about that he put an injunction? Down to the name, Mr. Leo.
What does the injunction carry? What name does the injunction?
No, the injunction said, Article 1, that from the day of the signature of this document, no construction work should be carried on that land. I've suspended all operations on that land because several people are giving many names on that place for obvious reasons. And that means until this matter is resolved, nobody should carry out any construction work. What was the clause? Whether this land is called Wonganjo, Isuke, or Mutengene Benga. If the DO, who is, look, let me tell you, it is a sabotage to the head of state's policies that these administrators are perpetrating, on people. Because the DO cannot doubt the name of a place. You put an injunction, in perpetuity, from 2015 till now, the DO will not have, he hasn't known the name of that particular place, and people are texting. What are they texting? If the DO, as a matter of fact,
I'm waiting that they should send a document to say that, okay, this was Chief His Majesty Chief this in 19
from the creation.
This was His Majesty.
Okay, somebody is writing. Let me react. Please, Mr. Liu, kindly read this course. The SDO read this in consultative talks, but abandoned up to today. No solution. This document is from the Minister of Territorial Administration instructing the SDO to install Prince Prisu Tutu as Chief of Modeka, who is the eldest son of late Chief Tutu Ethe, as gazetted chief. And the SDO asked Mr. Embula Mongo Simon how he became chief without Kingmakers signing a... Okay. That will be for another day. We are going to look into that. Yes, Mr. Liu, I know that chief at the studio. Okay.
No, just continue with it.
No, he says he knows you. It's somebody writing from Kumba. Who says,
he knows me.
Yeah.
I know how brave am I.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. The young man called on Joe, who you granted interview to, claiming he was manipulated, has made it clear that he burnt down the palace and stole documents from the government archive. He should be charged and sent to prison. He also claimed his parents died in 1986, telling him the said land is Wonganjo, but they sold the land there, naming the place Esuke. If the parents told him in 1986 that the place is Wonganjo, how then did he sell George Joseph sold land till 2016, naming the place Esuke? Teko Benz is writing from Mutengene. The messages says, this one says, good day, Mr. Liu. I'm so enjoying this program. Please, I would like to ask Mr. Mbela. I thought he said Bonganjo does not exist in Mutengene. Okay. Good evening. This is Bison writing from Yaoundé. Why is a position in which we have the Pamol plantation not mentioned? Because as far as I can remember, that place is called Buinga. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love the program. This is the chief has a good heart. It's Lidwina writing from where I don't know. Good evening to you, Lidwina. Hello, Mr. Liu. For the sake of peace, I would not want to disclose myself, but as the chief there is in the studio told you, most documents from the archives have been manipulated upon. All those in your studio are saying just the truth and nothing else. There is no Bonganjo in Mutengene, I believe it or not. Okay. Followers are beggars, illiterates. Okay. Okay. Good evening, to you and everyone in the studio. Good evening to you too. Now, how would you describe the reaction of the administration towards finding a lasting solution to this? Because, like the chief said, everything is in the hands of the administration. They are helpless. We see people who are fighting, attacked every day. There's loss of property and destruction. Is the administration reluctant to want to see these problems dealt with?
First, the administration is reluctant, and there is a solution to this.
Okay.
Look at what happened with the UB land, the University of Boya land. Look at what happened to the land that was ceded to, taken from CDC, and which was restored back. Because elites stood up and spoke, and this land were restored, and the administration, the administrators were called to order. Sometimes we need to talk about the corruption of these administrators, so that they should understand that Yaoundé is not for this. Is not what Yaoundé sent them to do. Yaoundé sent them to come and be like the eye of Yaoundé to see how the chiefs and the administrative authorities within this area are functioning. But sadly, they have come now, they have seen this land, and they have instead taking it upon themselves to sell the land and to corrupt the chiefs. You see a young man and tell this young man, I will give you a hectare of land and I will install you a chief in such a way that you give me certain hectares of land. Logging head, how do you explain the fact that an area that you call a village does not have a chief that has been first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and from creation? In where I am coming from, I am not an indigenous of Moya, but I was born in Moya. I can tell you that we have them. We have the youngest on this, that. Yes. Because I know that when I was growing up, I saw homes of chiefs or this, that. Now, when you claim that you had a village, you are one of the viewers to understand that we are not disputing that there is no Bonganjo. There is Bonganjo, but not in that particular Esoke where they are talking about that there is Bonganjo. So we should get this clear. The official gazette and the Ministry of Territorial Administration, where you can access Paul Atanga, will give you that it shows it is in Boya.
This person is saying that why is that the Bonganjo people are not in the studio? The so-called lawyer who was there last week name is on the certificate that the DO of Tico processed land certificates. Yes. The High Court judgment that Mr. Lifafe and Job mother was having was it Mr. Mbela who gave her the High Court judgment. But there is a judgment that they won in court. They have won cases in court now.
Yes.
Yes, in Tico. Yeah, but how
Mr. Leo, let me tell you, like the lawyer came here and was talking that they've won cases in Tico.
Yes, but did they know what? Did they know when the cases? Yes.
He is a lawyer. Excuse me, Chief, if I were him, I wouldn't have come to the studio here to make noise. His name is the number 29th in the 2017 publication of land certificates. He is a lawyer. You are holding an administrative injunction on your hands, and you take it to court. Somebody has violated it. So what are you telling the world? That you are carrying illegalities to court. Your name is published, number 29. Applying for a land certificate on a land that has an administrative injunction. Tomorrow you come proudly, you say you won a case in court. If I were him, I wouldn't have appeared here on this. On the media to mention anything. He would have waited for
But did they win the case?
No, he never won any case. The cases are. Look, let me tell you. When we talk about destruction, the matters of destruction, we are not talking because even if, as I made it mention the other time, Victoria was changed to Limbe and the properties of people. They are still there. So if he's talking of winning a case, the administrative injunction is still in place
and has not been revoked.
Which case has he won?
Mr. Leo, let me answer you. You asked a question to this young man. We the chiefs or we the villagers go and meet administrators to convince them to say something which is not correct.
It means people are blaming administrators when you, the chiefs, are the ones.
The people go and meet them. They don't come for you. Because like the case of the Mutengene man, he has corrupted the whole system because he met them. They never called for them.
He is selling land 9 million. The receipts are there. Yeah. And I want to tell you, he has given even allocation letters to people.
They come and make their money and go.
Is that a layout? It's not a layout. He's building houses there now in the form of a car.
We'll blame them because they don't put the things correct.
Okay. Good evening. The problems in Fako are caused by the administrators. Why is Honorable Etoke not fighting for us, the peasants? He used the administrative court to reclaim his land that was sold by the fake chief Aaron, the DO of Tico, and the senior divisional officer of Fako. Mr. Honorable, we voted for you, and since you cannot fight for us, we are waiting for you during the next election. Mr. Honorable Etoke, we want you and your colleagues to fight for us now, okay? John Wolita, writing there from where we don't know. Hello, good evening. Good evening. The Mutengene land saga, unlike any land wahala around Fako, is spearheaded by the administration with the blessings of the native chiefs. Let the Fako chiefs look for another economic generating factor and stop grabbing land. This is a massive land grab behind the brigade in Mutengene, and I think it's high time it stops. Fictitious chiefdoms are created every day by the administration to impose chiefs who will facilitate land surrender to benefit of both the chiefs and the administrators. Okay. Mr. Leo, evening. I am not a Fako man, but have lived in Mutengene for 39 years, but have never heard the name Bonganjo. That Mr. Lifafe, who claimed was misled, looks okay. Hungry. Gerard is writing from Mutengene. Good evening. It's Banky Francis writing from Mile 2. Good evening to you too, Banky Francis. This one, Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu, you know the talk, fine ya grand. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I'm not also a member of land now.
Of course.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. The chiefs in the southwest and particularly Fako keep on letting their rights to be manipulated by the administrators. Chieftaincy is purely traditional. It's time all the chiefs in Fako sit up and put the deals to respect traditions of the land. Okay, please, Mr. Kum. Why not read my message? Let me read your message. Nja Augustine writing from Bolifamba. Good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard and members of the Mutengene land saga. It's a big shame to the divisional officer of Tico. Please let the natives of the villages meet as some mature people and resolve it without foreign policy by the divisional officer. Okay, this one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. The documents of the various chiefs. Mr. Mbela, are we talking about administrative injunction? Order or Bonganjo village? Why is he not existing? he should not answer the question. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Everything in Cameroon is confusing, just like the Cameroon government. Blessing is writing from Bamenda. Now, I want us to listen again to the chief of the paramount chief of.
You are addressing him like that.
Yes. Can we have the chief again? Because many persons join the program late. Let's listen to the chief of Mutengene.
I've been watching over the prime media platform how some unscrupulous members of our community have gone on air trying to bring disorder in our community. Let me just give you a brief history about Mutengene. Mutengene is a court area that comprises 5 villages. That's Benga 1, Benga 2, Bokwai, Fwe, and Ogani. It's not us that created these villages, but when the Europeans came through the scramble of Africa, they made those villages where they are today. Some of those villages become extinct, meaning that some of those villagers that occupied those villages went to the urban areas. So now these people have decided to come back to the areas where they can commune with the ancestors. So we have reorganized all those 5 villages and have their chiefs. So if anybody have a problem, we'll meet the chiefs so that they can handle the situation. Every chief has been put in place and the badges will be given to them so that they have their jurisdiction. So I don't know, all those people who are going over the air and making silly statements. I don't know where some of them came from, where. And since the crisis started, we of the Mutengene court area, we have a very peaceful situation here. They have tried all in their power to try to bring this court here, but at least the people of Mutengene have observed them quietly, and this is our time for us to react. I want to make you understand those people don't belong to our court area. The people from outside are trying to use the situation, because for the past 10 years, we hadn't a chief in Mutengene, the paramount chief where I am today, but the administrator for the past time have tried to consult the powers that the ancestors and the kingmakers. They have put in place the chief, the paramount chief of Mutengene. Since then, these same troubleshooters have been going around trying to spread hate speech. But all along we have tried to put our best to see that the Mutengene court area has been organized, and today we have all the various chiefdoms in place. What is peaceful and cordial relationship? As you see, the chief came to me this morning to report that people are coming. So I have to take my time to see that I answer my call. I answer my call. So we have a very peaceful relationship. We have our meetings in the court area every Saturday to see how we can discuss the governmental issues in our court area.
Boundary issues, have you, between the various villages of the Mutengene court area, have you people resolved it?
Yeah, let me just give you a brief history again. You know, this area was called the court area. We had about 8 villages that constituted.
Okay, we are going to continue our discussions. Why do some people think that those who are with Chimboa have been bought over, and those who are on this other side have been bought over? Is it true that you have been bought over, those who are supporting each side, or is it because you are defending your village?
I'm defending my village. Because I have a very vast land in that area. I have palms. I planted palms around my own farm, my own parcels of land. So I'm defending it. I'm not too interested in the name Bonganjo. I'm interested in the land.
But is it your village? Are you interested in your village, or the fact
that...
Yes,
it's my village. I'm interested in the village.
Yeah, but you are more interested in your land, and not necessarily your village?
No, because they can change the name as far as they can change, because they change names from one name to another name. If our parcels of land, nobody disturbs us, and then they change their name, what has that got to do with it?
If you don't have an issue with the change of name, why not walk up? Okay, you don't also recognize who is the chief? Who is your chief?
The chief is they call him Adolf Ikomi. Recently put on place.
Consulted.
Okay, it's consulted chief.
Recently, he has not even there's no document for him. He has no document for the moment.
So you don't have a chief?
No, but we can call him a chief. He said that there are 5 chiefs now. So he has recognized him. Recognize him.
Okay, the chief.
Yes.
Okay, your chief is amongst the.
He is among the last one. let me. Yes.
Okay. Okay. It means that, but Chief Mbua is claiming to be the chief. Your chief.
It's claiming. Yes, it's claiming that area. It's claiming that area that my own parcel of land is found.
Did you walk up to him to say, instead of going this way, let us make peace?
How can I go? Do I recognize it?
Mr. Leo, how can he go there now?
I cannot go there, no.
When they have said they have not yet had villages.
When you people say they not yet have villages, where is Bunga not the village? Is Bunga not the village?
No, I mean during their consultative talks, that's what the DO said. He has put the cart before the horse. You put you make.
Are you saying that Chief Mbua was installed by the divisional officer without?
No, it wasn't.
We don't know where the consultative talks have been carried on.
Mr.
We didn't hear they were carried out in.
Let me chip in a little bit. Consultative talks was done in the DO's office. Enthronement proper, as they say, was done in the Gika's house in Mutengene, in Beirut.
There was no down back. It did not stay.
No, down man was built after they are wearing that crown. Chief Nike, Chief of Likoki, and Chief of Mate. Chief Nango, the Tokani of Tiko, was angry.
That's why I keep telling you that if you go by the politics of chieftains in Fako, you greatly it will end in a comedy.
Of course.
Because especially these new generation chiefs, I keep saying the chiefs between the late 2000s. The chiefs between the late 2000s, not those between the early 2000s. The early 2000s we still had chiefs successor. But the new villages started coming up between the late 2000s, where we had Zangchua, we had other SDOs started coming in. They said, okay, when this SDOs goes out, this one tells the other one, no, there's land for CDC, there's land, just meet an indigene, and they will give you a land, and we'll meet this chief. And the sad thing is that some of these chiefs, some of these chiefs connive with some of these SDO and point someone to be awarded the land based on negotiation. We have seen that happen in the side of Okaka and the rest. We've seen that happen in other areas. The good thing is chiefs have rejected that offer. Because if it's a chief that don't have that dignity, he would have accepted the offer since the offer came to him. But he rejected because he's a man of the people and stand by the custom and tradition that he took from his fathers and forefathers. So my issue now is with the administrative authorities and with the elite. There is an MP that was voted in Tiko. There's an MP that was voted in Limbe. And when this issue of fighting land, whether you support party A or party B, it is inherent as an elected official in that area to go and look into the area, meet the parties involved, ask them what the problem is, because you were elected in the area. But we have not had this move. I believe that if Honorable Fritz Etoke was still that honorable, you know that there's a power you get when you are honorable, and the power you get when you are not honorable reduces, but you still have a certain level of power. So I'm sure he has been lobbying. But the issue is, where is the MP who was voted for Tiko and Limbe? Where is he? Because Mutengene voted for Tiko and Limbe voted. So that MP contact, because where is he or she? So we are saying that if administrative authorities are lacking, the elite and those who are elected should take up the responsibility to preach peace, unite the people, and see how this can be solved from the custom and tradition of the people as handed to them by their forebearers.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. That the guy to whom you granted interview is a prisoner, so let the government go after him for accepting that he committed a crime before he ran away as Matthias. Fonjong is writing from Tiko. Good evening to you, Fonjong. Good evening, Mr. Liu. My name is Teresa. I grew up in Dongo Kam in Tiko. Yes, so tell us what you have to say. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I appreciate your program. Some Fako lawyers are part of these illegal sales of land in Fako. They go ahead to draw deeds of conveyance for the clients without investigating the seller's documents. Some, the lawyers own lands in these villages just by drawing deeds, like the case of Opa Moya land.
Yes.
Nango, man for Grong, is writing from Opa Moya. Good evening to you, Nango. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Tell the man, okay, that they should They should not be talking about injunction and talk about the problem at hand. Okay. I'm sure they're talking. They say we should not talk injunction. We should talk about the problem that is. Mr. Leo, you are a great journalist who masters the issues. Okay. Mr. Leo, you are a great journalist who masters the issue. Okay. Barrister Lyonga is writing from Muya. Good evening to you. Okay, 95% of chiefs are fake true. How can they stand against the administrator? Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm from Mapanja. Okay, Mr. Mbila talking there is not a man from Bonganjo. He's a man from Mapanja. He should go and talk land matters in Mapanja and not Bonganjo. Frida is writing from Mapanja. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Do you know that both the DO and the SDO have 48 hectares in that disputed land? And that's the reason they signed. I don't know what they signed. Okay, this one says fake chief work for him and he does not pay. Shame, he is supporting his fellow fake chief, Litake. Okay, Babylon is writing from Mutengene. Stop calling, please. Mr. Leo, good evening. The indigenes of Bonganjo cannot sit on a panel, okay, with people who are not representing the village. I think we should respect each other.
Of course.
It is not war. We want peace, and we should respect everybody. Okay. The chief, like Mr. Alifafe said, says he's open to meet with the people and discuss. Is that not a sign of wanting peace?
Yes, Mr. Leo, everybody wants peace. But look at those mothers, those widows who are crying every day after they have destroyed all their food. How can you, hold a cane and you call a dog and you pretend to want to feed the dog? You know? What those old women are going through is, it is unheard of. Yes, in the name of a chief. If you are a chief, that gives you powers to destroy people's property. I want to tell you, when they talk about this injunction, I want to reiterate about it. In 2020, the DO signed another order restraining or restricting farmers from doing farming. In 2019, this guy was given a prefectorial order, meaning that they are all doing all of this to drive people and take their property. That is why why are they talking about peace when all of their food crop is being destroyed? And he has now formed another sense. He's going now to the judicial police in Boya. I have more than 50 convocations from the judicial police. Immediately you come, anything you do to him, he signs and he writes on him, you are convocated to Boya and locked up. And you are forced to sign documents. That's what is happening. So we are saying that for the sake of peace, nobody has monopoly over violence. If all of these women come out with their children and grandchildren, that place, nobody will stay there. So we are here really to say the administration who started this thing should finish it, because until you drop what belongs to the masses, you will never know peace.
Okay.
Yes.
But last week in the program here, I'm sure Mr. Alifafe made it abundantly clear that the disputed piece of land is Bonganjo, and that Buinga 1 and 2 were further down somewhere there. How do you claim today that is where Buinga 1 is?
Mr. Alifafe, is he a Benga man? How can somebody talk about Benga when he's not a Benga man?
Where is he from?
He's from Boyano.
Oh, he's not from Bonganjo?
No. There's an adopted Bonganjo. You want just to grab his own part of the land because he has fallen victim under that under Litake. How can somebody talk of a village? He's not.
Why has Buinga 1 not have it? Why is there no chief there for so long now?
Well, you know, at times when
the village also went extinct.
No, we started with immediately. They started with the Bukwai. After Bukwai, they came. I think it was Bonganjo, Bonganjo, Benga 1. So it was just coming gradually. They did not come on.
In a nutshell, Mutengene was ruled by one second-class chief.
Okay, is that?
And the fact who died just 10 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, that is that the
they decided to pieces the whole town.
Yes.
You know.
After his death.
Mutengene has had a chief from third class to second class. And we have documents, all of this procession to land certificates were signed by him.
Of Luman
All in that area, with attestations of ownership. And that's why I have a document here, if you permit me read it. It was signed on the 21st of the 9th month, 1971, by Philip Elad. Recognizing, if you read it, let me go through
Who is Philip Elad?
Philip Elad, the first year of Tikosa Division.
Okay.
Yes, in 1971, it's here, the divisional officer. Say, we, the undersigned traditional family, family heads for Gbenga village, area, have, according to our wishes, as expressed in this meeting held at Gbenga Court Hall in Mutengene on the 13th of the 8th month, 1971, decided to form one traditional council for Gbenga area, which includes Mutengene town, which has now become a settlement for our traditional family groups. It is here. So you come, at the time it was Chief Isaac Ngeka of all Gbenga area, who was the chairman of that meeting, assisted by Mr. Moki. So the vice chairman, another vice chairman was Mr. Ngomba Elive. So we come here, the signatures of this document. In fact, they had 10 non-natives here from Gbenga, whom they selected. You find here, Fred Luma was a family head for Gbenga 1. F. Ikome, family head of Gbenga 2. You come here, M. Elive, family head for Bokwa Likomba. James Ndumba Kombe, family head for Bonganjo. A.M. Moki, family head for Fue.
Yeah,
Signed.
You say James.
Ndumba Kombe, the man whom they said was a chief.
Okay.
This is the man whom Litake said he came to inherit his chiefdom. He hasn't got the royal blood in him.
He came from our village.
James Ndumba Kombe, he signed here.
These other family heads, are they ruling over villages there in Mutengene?
Not at all. It is now that I think they want to create what they want to create. But I want to tell you, as at this time, the two ruling families came from Gbenga 1 and 2. That is it.
So Bonganjo was a family head.
This is it. James Ndumba Kombe, family head Bonganjo.
Came from that village.
Okay. They came down from.
They came and settled in Gbenga as a family since in the 18th. So it's supposed to be family head, not a village, not a village head, family head.
Now, what do you expect? All of you guys who are in conflict in Mutengene today, what do you expect you people to do, including Chief Mbua himself, including the administration? What should be done to sort yourselves out?
Well, I want that the administration to take its responsibility. Let them say the truth. Because we have documents backing those things. I'm still repeating that we are not too much interested if that man is a chief. That is not. But the land where it's situated is not where it's supposed to be. That is Gbenga. That is Gbenga 1.
But you people have been sleeping. The natives of Gbenga 1, if that is your village and then another person occupies it, it means you guys have been sleeping.
It's because of the confusion.
Oh, confused how?
It's because of the confusion. Because
why were you not confused?
Let me tell you.
It means that
let me answer you something.
You take my table, come sleeping.
Let me answer that question. This my brother, my junior brother, the Chief Aaron, who were in one. He was inside our the council of the elders. So from the time that they brought he was elected chief, because they brought a ballot box.
Not even that.
So but wait, chief, wait. From that time, we pleaded. It's from that time that the confusion came.
Because Litake was one of his kingmakers.
So from that time now,
bring a kingmaker from his village to be a kingmaker.
So from that time, the greater part of the confusion.
There's been confusion in the village. Yes, Your Highness. How do we solve this issue?
No, to me, to solve that, it is not even the administration. If the villagers stand and say this is what we want, the administration will succumb to them. You don't go and beg the administration to ask them what to do in your village. Wonganjo is not a village in Mutengene, not at all.
But we want peace, and what should be the way out?
Let the villagers come together and come once again. But go back to the Kmer. That's where you come from. If you want to be a villager here, we'll sell you land. Or you have already built a house. The price because you have bed in another man's land. Peace will reign. Because what he has started is war. He has destroyed more than 70, 80 farmers' crops. Do you think those farmers can come and meet himself make peace? No, it is the villagers. I mean the indigents. Because there was a saying, they were talking in television in Afon that when I be graphic, when I be land for here, when I go. How many Bakuras are in Bifako? Even in my village, how many Bakuras in my village? We're up to 50. All the rest are settlers who respect me. So if you want to have the out, you will remain alone. Let me go back to the Kmer and come and buy or compensate something on that place. I'm just advising the people. But for me, as a chief, he's not.
Yeah, we need peace. Where you say, when you read that document, you say there was a chief who was ruling in
Chief Luma.
Yes.
Chief Luma.
Yes.
Yeah, where are members of the traditional council at the time, and how did they allow things to degenerate to where it is today? Are they no longer living? None of them.
All of them.
Let me answer that question. And that's why I say I was also inside that chief. Inside that district.
Okay.
It's because we started, there was some with, they wanted that they should change that family.
The ruling house.
The ruling house should leave that to the other ruling house. To the other ruling house, because there have been two ruling houses. That's why. And then the person who was like the chairman of the Council of Elders had his own
way of doing things.
He had his own person that his own choice that he was thinking to put. You see, so when we went into that house, as I told you, that it was vote, people came out who are not even members of the inside that who voted. That's why the confusion came.
Okay, that's why things degenerated. Yes. Yeah. How do we find lasting peace? Because farmers are not happy. The villagers are not happy. Each camp is accused of always moving with dogs to attack each other. We need peace now in Cameroon, especially with the ongoing Anglophone crisis.
Yes, Mr. Leo, the fact is that, as I'm telling you now, I have, allocation letters which Mbua has given to people on land that does not belong to him. So how do you talk about peace when, like presently, what I'm telling you, he's there building houses as a camp. I wrote to the mayor, how can somebody be building houses without approved building permits? So there's something really seriously going on.
How do you know they're not building permits?
I have been the chairman for land and town planning. This matter started here in Chico. So I'm telling you, as a man on the ground. Yes. So there is no approval, and they cannot even give him because the council was copied of this injunction order. And that it is based on that injunction order, the clause that he violated administrative injunction and he was building without a building permit. That is how the SDO visa for demolition of that house. So now, we don't know what has happened. The SDO has again signed him a prefectorial order as a chief when there is still, an injunction order. So if we're talking about peace, where are we going to start? Is the DO or the SDO going to withdraw or uplift that injunction first and call the people that, please, let us sit? The first thing you should do is to uplift that injunction order. Okay. Because it is hindering people.
Okay, yeah.
I think peace can come from acknowledging the fault that we are all seeing, because everybody, whether we like it or not, one point or another we may have thought that. I think the deal first need to tender an official apology to the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism of violating or going tribalistic against peace-loving Cameroonians, who by virtue of the fact that they are Cameroonians have the right to settle in any area, by calling them Grafi Kamnogo, those are things that we don't tolerate. So you tender an apology to these people that you all are my children. We may have faltered in one way or the other. Let's come together and see how we can resolve it. The second thing is that is the elected official who is in Tico, if at all the person was elected, need to come now and meet Honorable Freaks and the others, elite, and see that, okay, there is this pending problem in Mutengene. Based on this, how do we think we can sit and put the sons and daughters together of this community and see how we can originally look at this problem from its root causes. The root cause of that problem meaning that you go from the culture and tradition. If there is a chief, if that village existed, yes. If it did not exist, yes. And we know from the official gazette of the Ministry of Territorial Administration that that village is not existing in that particular area. We know that it's a quarter under Mutengene, under a particular different village. So by default, they need to go back and say that, okay, because of the fact that you have already established in this area, we pardon you of your sin, of that the fact that you have sold those now, we pardon you, and we will now say, okay, we will not even, don't buy the land you have built, just take it and let peace reign. Their compensation be given to them, to the mothers whose crops have been chopped off. Remember that the injunction that was given to that land states that farming activities can continue in the land. The injunction, they gave injunction against building in that land. They said, but those who have their agricultural product, they should continue. This is a war-torn area. People who have cultivated their cocoyam, their vegetables, their maize, and the rest, thinking of nourishing their families in that area, but you have chopped them off. So when we start by this compensation means and see how we can, I think that's
okay.
how we can resolve it.
Okay, we unfortunately have to end the program at this juncture. Very passionate topic, many messages, we cannot read them at this time. We want to say thank you to you, Mola, for coming all the way from Mutengene to be part of this program.
Thank you, Mr. Liu.
And also to you, His Royal Majesty, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And
I was thinking I'm in Mutengene, not I'm in Douala.
And thank you to you too.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. I think it's a joint pleasure.
Okay, and also to you, Tamai Jarvis, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and to the peace-loving people of Moya, I want to say good evening to them, and of course, good evening to Honorable Freaks Itoke and President Paul Biya, Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Jongote, and Cameroon.
Okay, we are going to use this opportunity to extend our greetings to you, Ekima Collins, who should be in Mutengene watching the program this evening, and to you, Mboa. Chief Mboa Litake, who should be watching also from Mutengene, and to you, Honorable Fritz Etoke, I'm sure you should also be watching, and to you, the Dio for Tico, Nwafo Cletus, who should be watching. We say special greetings to you also and your family, and to you, the mayor for Tico, we also send our greetings. Our wish is that peace should be sought and that people can live together in peace and in harmony. And to you, the production team, Desmond, Christian, and Eli, we say we are grateful for you. And to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising our work, we equally say thank you. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.